The modern world may call you lazy. You know without a doubt that you are not, and you are correct. Instead, you are searching for your purpose in an unforgiving and deceptively advancing world. That deep, soul-level tiredness you feel, the one that sleep cannot touch, is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of awakening. It is your psyche's final, desperate protest against a life that has become a parody of itself. You are drowning in the shallow waters of constant connection, endless ambition, and digital chatter, while the deep, nourishing well of your own soul remains frozen and lifeless. This exhaustion is not a problem to be solved with a vacation or a pill. It is a message, a sacred message from the self, the totality of who you are, telling you that the path you are on is a dead end. Your soul is not tired from too much living. It is tired from too much of the wrong kind of living. If you are ready to understand this message from within, subscribe to this channel and like the video. We're all fellow travelers in the depths of the psyche. Now, let us begin the only work that can truly restore you. To understand the cure, we must first diagnose the disease with precision. Your exhaustion is not a simple fatigue, but a confluence of spiritual crises. Today, Carl Jung's philosophies will help you understand 5 important theories and how to overcome your darkest days. First, I will explain 5 crucial theories that have impacted your life, and then I will tell you exactly how to solve every one of them. First, the ego's impossible burden. You have been taught that your conscious mind, your ego, must be the master of your life. It must set the goals, maintain the persona, uphold the image. But the ego is a small island, a recent development in the vast, ancient continent of your psyche, and you have asked it to govern the wild, uncharted territories of the unconscious, the domain of instincts, archetypes, and the collective memory of humanity. Your psyche is exhausted from playing the role of king, in a kingdom it does not understand and cannot control. This is a burden the psyche was never meant to bear alone. This is a seemingly impossible task. The ego, in its desperation, believes it truly is the master of this entire inner world, leading to arrogance and burnout. Or it becomes crushed under the weight of its own responsibility. This constant, futile struggle to control the uncontrollable is a primary source of your depletion. Second, making the shadow your ally. Your exhaustion is fueled by the energy it takes to keep your shadow, your anger, your sadness, your so-called unacceptable parts, locked away. The path to restoration requires you to turn and face it, not to become it, but to acknowledge it. To say, this, too, is part of me. In reclaiming this disowned energy, you plug a major leak in your psychic system. The energy you used for repression becomes available for life. Your inner shadow and your outer mask make up your persona. It is a necessary social tool, but for you, it has become a prison. The energy required to maintain this fiction, to smooth over your true feelings, to suppress your shadows and your quirks, is immense. You are constantly spending your authentic life force to sustain an illusion. Every time you say, "I'm fine," when you are not, you make a withdrawal from your soul's account. The profound tiredness you feel is your soul telling you it is bankrupt. Third, the disconnection from the self. This is the core of your problems. You are cut off from the center of your own being. The self, the archetype of wholeness and the true director of your psychic life. Instead of obsessing over past thoughts and emotions, allow yourself to express its true identity. You are responding to 1,000 external demands but are deaf to the one inner voice that gives it all meaning. A tree cannot live on its leaves alone. It must be fed by its roots deep in the dark earth. You are trying to live on leaves. By this I mean you live off of external validation and achievements, and you are starving from a lack of root nourishment. You have abandoned the most important journey of your life, the process of individuation, the conscious realization of your unique self. Fourth, the unintegrated shadow and its depletion of energy. A great deal of your vitality is being silently consumed by a civil war within. Your psyche, your soul, and your ego are are fighting for control. You have compartmentalized the parts of yourself you deem unacceptable into a dark corner of your psyche, I termed the shadow. But the shadow does not disappear. It gains more power in exile. The energy required to keep this inner monster locked in the basement is constant and exhausting. Furthermore, you project your own shadow onto others, leading to irrational conflicts that further drain your resources. Fifth, the Anima and Animus spiritual takeover. Within every man exists a feminine inner personality, the Anima, and within every woman, a masculine one, the Animus. These are archetypal gatekeepers to the deeper layers of the soul. Modern life often forces a crippling one-sidedness. All logic, no feeling. All aggression, no receptivity. All communication, no empathy. When these inner figures are neglected, they do not guide us, they possess us. A man possessed by his anima may become moody and irrational. A woman possessed by her animus may become rigid and dogmatically opinionated. This inner conflict and lack of harmony between your masculine and feminine principles is another silent leak in your psychic energy system, pulling you away from the balance required for true vitality. This, then, is the fivefold nature of your sickness: an overburdened ego, a tyrannical persona, a disconnect from the self, a war with the shadow, and a one-sided psyche. It is a bleak picture, I know. But to see the monster clearly is to rob it of its power. Now, let us turn to the cure. First, the courage to be inefficient. This might sound counterintuitive, but the first act of rebellion against this soul sickness is to do nothing. Not scrolling, not consuming, not planning, but true, purposeless nothing. To sit and watch the sky, to walk without a destination. In this purposefully created boredom, the ego relaxes its grip, and the unconscious can finally speak. Doing something as simple as taking a walk with no destination in mind is the fertile ground from which all creativity and meaning grows. Second, the life-altering work of shadow integration. Your exhaustion is fueled by the immense energy required to keep your shadow locked away. The path to restoration requires you to stop allowing your shadow manipulate you into being the jailer of yourself and become the master of shadow integration. This process begins with recognition. Notice what irritates you in others, what you judge most harshly there. You will find a disowned part of yourself. Then, with immense courage, you must engage in dialogue. In a journal, ask your anger, or your laziness, or your envy. Why have you come? What do you need? Do not act it out, but allow it a voice. This is not to become these things, but to reclaim their energy. The rage, when integrated, become clearer and stronger boundaries. The laziness becomes the wisdom of rest. This is alchemy, turning the lead of your shadow into the gold of your vitality. Third, rebuilding the bridge to the self through active imagination. You must create a quiet space, a sacred ritual in your home and schedule, and then you must learn to listen. This is what I called active imagination. It is a conscious dialogue with the contents of the unconscious. Upon waking, record your dreams meticulously. Do not analyze them immediately. Let the images live and breathe. Then, choose a figure from a dream or a strong feeling, and in a meditative state, allow a conversation to unfold. Ask the wise old man, the fearful child, the wild animal what message they carry for you. Do not be afraid or ashamed. This is not psychosis. It is the sacred process of rebuilding the bridge between the ego and the self. You are not having a mental breakdown. You are having a mental breakthrough. The self is re-establishing its natural authority in the hierarchy of the psyche. This work is not easy, but you do not have to do it alone. If this message speaks to the core of your being, share this video with someone who is also on the path of self-mastery. And tell me in the comments, what is one small way you can invite quiet into your life today? Your commitment inspires us all. Fourth, The sacrifice of the should-haves. Your fatigue is a monument to all the things you do because you should. The path to vitality requires a sacred sacrifice, not of your well-being, but of these foreign expectations imposed by family, culture, and the general collective. You must find the courage to say no to the good enough and make space for the essential. This will feel like a betrayal to the world, but it is an act of supreme loyalty to your soul. As you strip away the should-haves, you begin to discover your own personal myth, the unique, archetypal story your soul is trying to live. This is not a narrative you invent, but one you discover unfolding within you. Living this myth is not a burden, it is a source of endless energy. Fifth, engaging with the anima or animus, the inner marriage. To heal the one-sidedness that drains you, you must consciously create a marriage between the two. For a man, this means making space for the anima, for feeling relatedness and connection to the irrational and imaginative. He might engage with art, poetry, or music that moves him. For a woman, it means engaging the animus, the inner logos, the capacity for focused thought, discernment, and directed action. She might take a stand on an issue or delve into a structured field of study. The goal is not to become the opposite, but to integrate these qualities, leading to an inner marriage. This connection creates a profound inner stability and a wellspring of creative energy that is no longer at war, but rather at peace and unity with oneself. This work is not easy, but you are not alone. If this message speaks to the core of your being, share this video with someone who is also learning how to master and integrate the depths of their mind. Tell me, in the comments, which of these practices are you most called to explore? Your commitment inspires us all. Sixth, discovering the transcendent nature of wholeness. As you hold the tension between these opposites, ego and unconscious, persona and shadow, anima and animus, a miraculous thing begins to happen. A new, third thing emerges, which I called the Transcendent Function. It is not a compromise, but a new level of being that transcends the conflict. It is the sudden insight that resolves an inner struggle, the creative solution that comes from nowhere, the profound peace that arises from accepting contradiction. This function does not come from the ego, but from the self. It is the evidence that the restoration is working, that you are tapping into a source of guidance and energy far greater than your conscious mind. It is the ultimate antidote to exhaustion, for it connects you to the eternal, self-renewing wellspring of the psyche itself. The new you, full of renewed and refreshed vitality. This exhaustion is not necessarily your enemy. It is the most faithful guide you have. It is the pain of a bone that has been broken and is now resetting itself in its proper alignment. Do not seek to return to the frantic vitality you once had. That was the false energy of mania, of avoidance. The vitality that awaits you on the other side of this descent is different. It is quieter, slower, more resilient. It does not come from the approval of others, but from the deep, underground spring of your own self. You are being called to a different way of being, a soul-centered life. It is a life that honors depth over speed, meaning over achievement, and the quiet voice within over the roaring crowd without. Your weariness is the beginning of your initiation. Heed its call, embrace the descent, for it is only in the dark, quiet soil that the seed can crack open and finally reach for the sun.